Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2022 science fiction thriller The Abandon. The film is directed by Jason Satterlund and it stars Jonathan Rosenthal and Tamara Perry. Now, even though it says 2022, this is just getting its release now, and it focuses on a wounded soldier, Miles, who is taking part in the Iraqi war in 91, I think it is. And he gets wounded, shot. He looks up at the sky, sees a bright light, and then he wakes up in like a cell, like a strange cube. And the cube then tests all his physical and mental limits. At times it gets really hot, at times it messes with his senses, it gets cold other times, and then periodically it just tumbles. And he cannot understand what's going on. He can't figure out what it is. Has he been captured by the enemy? What is happening? And it's all very confusing. And then he receives a call on his sat phone, and it's another person called Damze. And they begin talking on this sat phone. They both find out they're in a similar position, and they try and figure a way out of their current predicament. Right. What are my thoughts on The Abandon? Well, this is not necessarily a new idea, like people like kind of stuck in a cube sort of thing and are trying to find a way out, it's an escape room type movie. It's got a little bit of sci-fi twist going on with it here. And while the initial concept is quite fascinating and interesting and is all very mysterious and you're kind of wondering what is going on, the film kind of, I think, would have worked far better as like an anthology story or, I don't know, an episode of Creep Show or something like that. Because I think they really struggle to stretch this idea out over the length of the movie. Because there's really only, after 5 minutes or so, there's only one person that you see throughout this whole film until the first 5 minutes and the last 5 minutes. The only person you see on screen is Jonathan Rosenthal's character, Miles. A big chunk of the first part of the film is him trying to figure out what's going on, getting tested by this cube thing, etc. And then he picks up his sat phone and he starts talking to Damze, this other character, played by Tamara Perry. But you never see her, only briefly late in the film. You just hear her voice, so it's just her and him communicating. But it's him on screen throughout the whole thing. And then they stretch that over the length of the film. And after a while, I'm not going to lie, it gets a little bit tiresome. These conversations that they're having are not particularly interesting. Not overly engaging, and the levels of knowledge that they have in regards to trying to unlock the mystery of this cube that they're in, it's all like quite mathematical and stuff, and it's like they lost me on some aspects of it, try to figure out what's going on, how to escape, and well, if you do this and I do that, and let's do this mathematical equation, and you're kind of like, oh my god, this is getting duller. And there's no real major revelation here, because from my perspective, when I was watching this, there is only really one answer as to what's going on. And the ending of the film confirms that as well. I think so. So there's not really much of a mystery either. So you've got this character, Miles, who's wounded, and it's a decent performance by the actor Jonathan Rosenthal. I'm not criticising his performance at all. What I'm criticising is the fact that for the length of this film, you just see him in this cube room and talking periodically to another voice on this sat phone that he's got. And then it's just him kind of being tested by this cube, and it's rolling about and flinging him everywhere. And, I'd say the different temperatures, abuse of the sensors, all this kind of stuff, and levitating him and all this kind of stuff. And you're just like, okay, we get it, you're testing him, but why? And what's the end game here? You know, is it a test? Are they trying to find out if he can get out of this escape room, if you want to call it that? There's no answers given, really. The film is basically this: he wakes up in this cube. The cube tests him. It, you know, he's gets more and more wounded, both physically and psychologically, as the film goes on. He chats to someone on a sat phone, and then try and figure out a way out of this cube. That is the film. If that sounds interesting, then you're probably going to quite enjoy this film. For me, I found it dragged after a while. After the initial setup, which I was engaged and interested in, about probably 25 minutes into the film, I'm kind of thinking there's not a lot else going to happen here, and that's the trouble sometimes with these insular, enclosed films where there's very few actors on the screen. If what you're giving us isn't engaging or interesting enough after a certain point, you zone out as an audience member. You turn off, sort of thing, because you're not interested anymore. It has to give you periodically something to hook you in again to the story in the film, and I don't think this film does that anywhere near effectively enough, certainly in my opinion. I don't think it's a bad film. It's well made, there's good performances, it's got decent production values, it's got a pretty cool and interesting concept. It's just, would have been far better, I think, in an anthology story, certainly in my opinion. But it is certainly worth checking out if you like these sort of films. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. So let me know if you've seen this film, what your thoughts are on it, and I will of course be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.